Okay, again, if you're new to this, whenever I review a lot of the big Marvel stuff or any comic book material or any just overall geek culture material, I tend to give my overall thoughts right away and then have a really big spoiler section that is, well, it's a spoiler section. So it'll be broken up by two little end bits, and of course I'll warn you if you want to skip the spoilers. So, okay. Anyway, my review or my overall thoughts on Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is a B-. Overall, there's some really nice visuals, the cast chemistry is really good, and the story does take some interesting turns. Unfortunately, it just feels really cliched and pedestrian, and doesn't do a good job of trying to explore its premise of what it really takes to be a hero and how you do make a difference in the world sometimes. Unfortunately, it just falls really flat in that aspect, and unfortunately, it also lacks a lot of the humorous punch that the first two movies did. The lack of certain characters really does feel missed at this point. I mean, the lack of those characters' presence is what is felt throughout, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's why I'm giving it a B-.
I'll fight evil. Whoa!
Are you ready to be an Avenger? To be an Avenger, you must be strong, smart, quick, and true. Avengers assemble! Avengers! Ultron's cannon lights up. A is for action. Wonder Man's ready. Ant-Man's mini-jet is set for action. Ant-Man extends. Captain America's droid explodes.
My shield will protect the Avengers. Take that, Ultron.
The Sky Cycle soars into battle. Falcon, surprise attack.
This bird brain.
Hawkeye's quick-drawing arrow will punish evil. The Avengers, united they stand, each sold separately.
Again, this is the spoiler section, so skip to this point if you wish to avoid all the big stuff. Okay, so yes, Quantumania, I'm just going to call it that, basically it's, the third Ant-Man film. You see, Scott is starting to reap some of the benefits that his status in the Avengers has given him, or gave him. I'm not entirely sure if he's still in the Avengers, but it has gotten him a lot of recognition, though obviously some people don't quite recognize him as Ant-Man. They call him, obviously there's the joke with the one guy, I keep calling him Spider-Man. And he's been able to actually write a book about, his ups and downs in life, and the fact that he's managed to kind of create a family from, a situation that one can't normally do, and that he's looking forward to spending more time with Cassie. Unfortunately, Cassie herself is too busy getting arrested. She's gotten arrested twice before, and it turns out she's trying to... She hit a PIM disc on a cop car that was going after some people who had been displaced by the blip, or displaced when the blip was undone, to be more precise. And she is taking the stance of, that Scott could definitely be doing more to help people other than just, fighting whenever an emergency comes up. And he's trying to make... sorry, the phone went off there. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, Cassie's been arrested. She's trying, and she and pretty much everyone else in the Pym Van Dyne family is kind of pressured. It's got you could be doing a lot more. You could be, like I said, the idea of what it truly takes to be a hero, and the fact that you're content to go out and deal with these emergencies when they crop up, but you're not really, fighting for the betterment of society. Like, here you are, you're an ex-convict, made good, who's run his own business. Yeah, again, it was known going into this that pretty much the entire supporting cast outside of Hank and Hope and Jan to an extent, because she's still there, is just not, weren't going to be there. They weren't in the film. And, even though I was not huge on that supporting cast, like I said, their absence is definitely felt. It's just, again, it's where it's very insular, and their attempts at doing that are, their attempts at trying to fulfill it just don't really work, unfortunately. One of those is the fact that Cassie has, been working with the, Hope and Hank on trying to study the quantum realm more, which has upset Jan because she just doesn't want to talk about it. And of course this gets revealed when they show off their new quantum realm communicator, and Jan kind of flips out and tells them to shut it down because it's sending a signal. It could be backtracked. And suddenly something malfunctions. This portal opens up and it sucks them all into the quantum realm. And it's at this point that Cassie reveals that she stole one of the suit. Yeah, or she, either Hank or Hope made a suit for her to use if she wanted to. It's hard to imply. It's like she either stole the suit or she willingly made the suit and they don't want to tell Scott right away because again she wants to try to fight the evils of the world and that we're getting and you get the other way. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do this as best as I can here. Anyway, they're down in the quantum realm, and they get separated with Hope, Hank, and Jan going off one direction. Scott and Cassie getting caught up with these locals who fear someone called the Conqueror. And it's here that Jan begins to finally reveal what happened with her as she stayed in the quantum realm. That something had gone wrong, and the society that actually lives in this microverse, for lack of a better term, which is beneath it's within the universe, so it's not a parallel universe in the strictest sense of the term, if that makes any sense at all. But yeah, like something had happened and it started to fall apart, and there was a major war that broke out, and she tried her best to fight it, but ultimately when she got the opportunity to come back home, she did that. And, she takes them to someone who is effectively her boyfriend named Kryler, who is, the Bill Murray character. And, it leads to a somewhat humorous scene. Like, unfortunately, the laughs, there were some good jokes in here, but the laughs just didn't quite work as well. Like, there were more chortles, little bits of snickers here and there than, outright humorous moments where, as it leads to a bit of awkwardness where, again, it's implied that Kryler and Jan had a very brief fling, and, Hank's kind of surprisingly okay with this. Well, after a few years, I thought you were dead, so I, saw a woman named Linda for a while, and, and, you have Hope kind of squicking out because she's like, I don't want to hear about, you guys, sex lives and stuff like that. But it's like, it just doesn't work. This all leads to the fact that Kang has conquered the quantum realm, and he kind of did so because of Jan. Jan had actually encountered him. He had crashed his ship and implied that if he could get it running again, he could take her home. And they managed to repair the core of the ship, and it turns out this thing is like, it's psychokinetic, or psychotropic or something like that, where it absorbs the memories of the pilot of the ship, and it's from there that Jan is able to piece together who Kang is and what he has done. And from there, realize that something's wrong, so she shrinks down, she steals the core, then puts some pin particle discs on it to expand it out, and basically turn it into this giant bomb, this giant impenetrable bomb that Kang could not get into without destroying himself, basically. And so from there, he basically conquered the quantum realm, and because of that, Jan is not held in the highest regard. Like, even though she did fight to free them, to save everyone, she also abandoned them when she really needed it, or when they really needed it. And so you get that. And meanwhile, as all that is playing out, Scott and Cassie are taken in by some rebels who have been displaced by Kang. Cassie is trying to get Scott to fight on their side, but Scott is more concerned with finding the others. And then all of this is interrupted by Kang unleashing his Master Hunter unit, the mechanized organism designed only for killing, aka MODOK, who is in fact none other than Darren Cross, aka Yellow Jacket, from the first Ant-Man movie. If you recall, at the end of that, he got trapped in the quantum realm. Kang took him and genetically modified him into being MODOK, which, if you don't know, is this... MODOK is a very bizarre villain in the Marvel Comics. He has this giant... He's a giant-brained head So yeah, and then he has little baby arms and legs, and he can fire this Omega beam and stuff like that. And it's just he's a very odd visual that people have often had fun with. Most notably the MODOK series on Hulu. And so from there, MODOK takes Scott and Cassie in. Kang basically tortures Scott, basically says, look, you're going to get back in. You're the only one, because of your size-changing probabilities or abilities, you can get into the core, you can shrink it back down to a sizable length, and get it back to me. And if you don't, I'm going to kill Cassie. And, Scott has kind of no choice but to do it. It's at this point that Hank, Jen, and Hope arrive, and Hope helps Scott, but they're trying to keep the core away from Kang still. As this is happening, it's kind of leading into the grander narrative of the MCU, where Kang is one of many Kangs from various timelines. When Scott is going after the core, of course, this leads probably the best little joke in the movie, where as he gets closer, these time probability lines keep popping up. So all these variations of Scott keep showing up, including one where he was never fired from Baskin-Robbins. So, yeah, he's just in the Baskin-Robbins outfit. And eventually they all have to work together to get him to the core. And anyway, and so from there, Kang powers up his ship. He takes Jan hostage. They have to fight to free her. And like I said, this is one of many Kangs from many different timelines. And he's like, I was one that slipped up at some point, got defeated, and exiled to the quantum realm, where they thought I couldn't do any damage. But understand this, I've seen all the timelines. They all lead to this one point where everything gets destroyed. If I win now, I can avert that from ever happening. You don't have to worry about losing everyone. And he's trying to sell them on this, and of course no one's buying. They fight back again. MODOK eventually turns on Kang because he's realized that, exactly, like, Cassie convinces him to not be a jerk. Again, part of the problem is I think some of the supporting cast is just, their chances really fall flat. Like I haven't really mentioned any of the other creatures that have popped up. Like I mentioned Kryler, the Bill Murray character, but there's the Rebels. They have this one character who's fascinated by the fact that human beings have holes. There's another character called Quaz who is telepathic. And that's really all I can tell you. Exactly. Like, again, the supporting cast is kind of weak outside of the main cat. The Lang Pym Van Dynes and Kang. And other than that, it's just kind of they just fall really flat, and that is where things do fall apart. Again, they eventually do defeat Kang, and it's at the end it's funny because Scott returns. He seems to be setting things up again and realizing that he needs to do more and do what he can to help people more. But he's also kind of questioning as to whether or not they actually beat Kang, because Kang did say, remember, this is all building to one end point where this is all going to end. And that leads to the credits and the two credit scenes, which both involve Kang and the variations of Kang. The first one is all the Kangs from all the timelines are getting together to plot their big chance because Immortus, another version of Kang... You see, Kang in the comics, I guess I should talk a little bit about that. Kang in the comics is a great idea for a villain. It has never really worked. The one story that people seem to universally agree is pretty good is the Avengers Forever storyline. And even then, you have to be really, really steeped in Avengers lore to, I think, properly enjoy that story. Like, it's not a gatekeeping thing. It's just, you're going to read it, you're not going to understand most of what's going on. That's what I'm talking about there. So yeah, like I said, Kang is a great idea and concept. This villain from the future who travels back trying to use his technology at various points in history to conquer everything and set things up so that he is just this ruler of eternity, for lack of a better term. And, he somehow just keeps bumbling it up. There's an incarnation of him that went back to ancient Egypt under the name Ramatut. There's an incarnation. There's, of course, Kang the Conqueror. And then there's Immortus, which is the not quite as evil Kang. And so Immortus has gathered all the Kangs so that they can prepare for their big launch on the MCU at some point. And then we get we get an end credit scene where Loki and Mobius from the Time Agency are visiting the Victorian era, where Victor Timely is talking about time travel, and and Loki knows it's Kang, but Mobius isn't too sure, and that's leading to something, probably Loki season 2. Okay, I hope most of that made sense. Again, my phone went off halfway through that, or partway through that, and it's kind of thrown off my summary abilities. So yeah, like I said, the film overall is not terrible. There's a lot of good points to it. I loved a lot of the visuals in it. The microverse actually looks really cool. I think a lot of the stuff there. I like a lot of the effects with the growing and the shrinking a lot. You see Cassie struggling with her ability to fight. Now Scott has to kind of coach her in the middle of everything so that works out. She's got a semi-decent arc. Like, it's one of those, I understand what she's trying to do. It's just, again, they don't go too in-depth on it, and I think that kind of stalls things out. Scott and Hope as a couple, they don't really work. It's one of those, that relationship arc came to its climax, I guess, in the second film, and, now they're just kind of the happy couple. Jan has probably the best arc in this. There's some interesting points with her. Hank, again, not so much. He's kind of thrown by the wayside. There's, like I said, there's maybe one interesting point with him, involving some of his aunts who wind up getting hyper-evolved when they get sucked into the quantum realm. But other than that, there's just, not much there. Like I said, Kang, it's definitely Kang the movie, really. And unfortunately, I think we're going to be getting more Kang as time goes on in the MCU. So be prepared for Kang 2, Kang 3, Kang 4. Again, hopefully these things work out. Like I said, it's not bad. It's just, I think I really could have strived to been better.
When evil threatens humanity,
It's a life force I've never seen before.
there's only one team of superheroes with the skills,
Winds of destiny change.
the courage,
Got you covered, Hawk.
and the strength
I'm all over it.
to do the job.
Avengers, assemble!
Catch the newest members in the Fox Kids Hall of Champions.
Man's got my attention.
Watch an all-new Avengers later this morning at 11:30, only on Fox Kids.
Okay, trailer time. We had a lot of trailers to go through this time. They played 8 before the movie even started. First off, we had Scream 6, followed by John Wick Chapter 4, followed by Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and then Champions, and that was followed by 65, Creed 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Boy, I hope nothing's happened recently to something to make that film problematic. Anyway, for those who maybe aren't aware, Champions is the movie where it's Mighty Ducks, but with Special Olympian basketball players, and Woody Harrelson is the coach. Let's see, it was 65 is the Adam Driver movie where he somehow finds himself stranded in the time of the dinosaurs. It's one of those, it has a great look and maybe a decent hook, but I have to wonder, but I know it's been delayed a bunch of times, so yeah, I have to wonder how well that's really going to work out. Guardians 3 looks fun. I already said my piece about Shazam. Scream 6 is Scream 6. John Wick 4 looks good, but I'm not entirely sure I'm going to get to it. I want to try to get to Creed 3, but I don't know if I will. Right now, the only one I can say for certain is the next one we're going to see in theaters is Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and again, not entirely sure because like I said, there's things I want to do in March, and April's going to be a pretty busy month as well. So, again, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be able to get to that. Anyway, the next video is going to be the review for the final season of Animaniacs, and then the random trade review on Rising Stars Volume 1. See you all next time.
Hey guys, remember you can request a movie or a television series for me to review at my Patreon at patreon.com/CPTime for Cat Productions. Also, remember to like the video, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so that you can be alerted to further videos.